one yellow line, one split-second decision, one ruling that cannot be appealed. Bubba Wallace went from second place to 29th after NASCAR enforced a rule that has stood for 25 years, and even though he insists he never gained a position, officials say it did not matter. Here is exactly what happened and why it could reshape the entire playoff picture. To understand how this night fell apart for Bubba Wallace, you have to go back to the very beginning of the Quaker State 400 at Echo Park Speedway in Hampton, Georgia. This was supposed to be Ryan Blaney's night, and for most of the event, it absolutely was. The Team Penske driver started from the pole position, swept both stages, and led a race-high 171 laps in the number 12 Ford. But the race itself refused to cooperate with anyone's plans. A lengthy weather delay stopped the action for more than 3 hours while crews worked to dry the racing surface, pushing the finish deep into the night. By the time the checkered flag finally flew, it was nearly 1:45 in the morning local time, and the 263-lap event had already produced more than 30 lead changes and several cautions. A late caution forced the race into overtime, and that is where everything changed for the number 23 team. Carson Hocevar took the white flag as the leader. Bubba Wallace took it in third position. On that final lap, Wallace shoved Ryan Blaney to the race lead entering turn 1. As the number 12 car swung high on Carson Hocevar, the number 23 Toyota darted to the bottom down the backstretch, making it 3 wide for the top spot. In the process, Wallace dropped below the double yellow line, the out-of-bounds boundary that exists at only 3 tracks on the entire schedule, and remained next to Hocevar and Blaney through turns 3 and 4. A crucial shove from Christopher Bell then propelled Blaney to the victory, giving him his second win of the 2026 season. Bubba Wallace crossed the finish line in second place. It would have been his second runner-up result in the last 4 weeks and one of the strongest finishes of his entire season. That result lasted roughly 30 seconds. NASCAR officials reviewed the final lap and ruled that Wallace had advanced his position beneath the double yellow line, violating the yellow line rule in the NASCAR rulebook. The rule states that passing below the double painted lines to advance position will result in a black flag. The consequence was immediate and enormous. Wallace was dropped from second place to 29th, the last car on the lead lap. NASCAR confirmed the penalty alone represented a 27-point swing in the championship standings. Ryan Blaney learned about the ruling during his own winner's interview, and his reaction summed up the mood in 2 words. "That sucks," Blaney said. Meanwhile, the penalty promoted Christopher Bell to second place and Carson Hocevar to third in the official results. But Bubba Wallace was not ready to accept the decision quietly. Speaking to a group of media members after the penalty was issued, he laid out his side of the story in detail, and he did not leave any room for interpretation about how he saw the situation. "Says advancing your position, which I did not do," Wallace said. "I stayed third, and I was all over the brakes to make sure I did not advance. As soon as I turned, I was like, I am going to wreck. I got on the brakes, kept it underneath me, and still ended up side by side." He went even further, explaining that the move actually hurt him rather than helping him. "That move should have propelled us to the lead, and it didn't because I knew it was wrong because my car did not like that move. We will see what we can do, but I did not advance my position. I stayed third from the entry to 3 all the way until 50 yards away gave us a shot." Wallace pointed to the SES-MT data, the telemetry that tracks every input a driver makes, as proof of his claim. "You go back and look at the SEMT, I'm on the brakes trying to keep it underneath me and not advance my position," Wallace added. He also noted a pattern from earlier in the race, saying that all day when 2 cars got side by side into the corner, the driver who popped to the bottom cleared the other car. He did not clear, and in his view, that is exactly why he did not win the race. Because he had to bail out to avoid crashing. The number 23 team did not stop at post-race interviews. Wallace bolted over to his 2311 racing hauler to review the data with crew chief Charles Denny and Dave Rogers, the director of competition for 2311 racing. After briefly evaluating their case, the trio walked to the NASCAR hauler for a 31-minute meeting with series officials during the 20-minute post-race protest window. They pleaded their case. The sanction stood. Cup Series Managing Director Brad Moran confirmed the penalty is not subject to appeal because it falls under an on-track judgment call governed by the rulebook. When Bubba Wallace departed the series hauler, his final words on the matter were short and resigned. "A penalty is a penalty," he said. In the days that followed, NASCAR offered a detailed explanation of exactly why the call was made, and it revealed something many fans did not know about how the rule actually works. On the latest episode of the Hauler Talk podcast, NASCAR Vice President of Racing Communications Mike Ford addressed the situation directly. Unfortunately for Bubba, attempting to give the position back does not matter in this rule, Ford said. He explained that officials determined Wallace advanced his position in a couple of areas and that at a certain point in the replays, Wallace was effectively in first place on the last lap. Had a caution come out near the start-finish line at that moment, Wallace would have been declared the winner before being black flagged anyway. Ford then delivered the line that defines this entire controversy. He explained that fully completing a pass does not matter at all under this rule. You just need to be a quarter of an inch ahead of the next car, and that's improving your position, and it was pretty clear to us, Ford said. He also revealed that NASCAR Vice President of Competition Elton Sawyer praised the way the 2311 Racing Group handled the protest, saying they could not have been more respectful and handled a devastating blow in a professional manner. The double-painted line rule is in effect at 3 tracks: Echo Park Speedway, Daytona International Speedway, and Talladega Superspeedway. It has been in place since 2001, designed to keep drivers from using the apron as a passing lane, which had triggered massive wrecks in the past. I know some people don't love the rule, but I think it probably would be a lot worse without it, Ford said. Perhaps the most fascinating perspective came from Denny Hamlin, who wears 2 hats in this story. Driver of the Joe Gibbs Racing number 11 car and co-owner of 2311 Racing. Speaking on his Actions Detrimental podcast, Hamlin admitted that when he watched the move live, he immediately expected a penalty because he has been penalized for the same thing before. It's not literal in the sense of advancing your position, Hamlin said. It's making a move to advance. He explained the rule in the simplest possible terms. You have to pretend that there's a wall there. According to Hamlin, the yellow line is essentially a wall that is not concrete, and the minute a driver steps out of bounds, it does not matter whether an advantage was gained or not. At the same time, Hamlin defended his driver's decision to go for the win, pointing out that drivers cannot actually see the lines from inside the car, especially when running behind 2 other vehicles down the backstretch at Atlanta, where there is very little difference in banking between the apron and the racing surface. The penalty was only half of the drama, because Bubba Wallace also had a heated confrontation with fellow Toyota driver Ty Gibbs on pit road after the race. The tension traced back to the end of Stage 2 when Gibbs bumped Wallace out of 6th place, coming to the green-white checkered finish, costing him even more points on an already brutal night. "I just said lift," Wallace explained. "I said there's an opportunity to give, and you didn't." He was like, "Well, don't block me." It's like, "Bro, you hit me square in the bumper. The block was well ahead, you seen it coming." Ty Gibbs, who finished 4th, saw the exchange very differently. "Yeah, I went to tell him I'm sorry because he cleared himself, and then unfortunately he showed a lot of disrespect," Gibbs stated. He added that it seemed like things did not work out for Wallace, but that he had only been trying to help by pushing him toward the win at the end. Wallace closed the subject with a pointed observation about the manufacturer relationship, that's Toyota teammates. Don't race very well together. Beyond the garage, unverified reports have circulated claiming 2311 Racing conducted an internal review after the race, and that Wallace was given an undisclosed internal financial measure along with additional race review sessions focused on super speedway strategy and late race decision-making. It is important to stress that no major outlet has confirmed these claims, and they should be treated as rumors until the organization addresses them. What is confirmed is that the team stood with Wallace throughout the official protest process. The emotional toll of the night extended to the Wallace family as well. Amanda Wallace, who had spent the evening supporting her husband on social media, shared her reaction on her Instagram story after the penalty was announced. "This is exhausting to watch," she wrote, adding that she could not imagine being in her husband's position. The fan base predictably split down the middle. Critics argued the penalty was completely preventable and pointed to a pattern of costly moments at critical times. Supporters argued Wallace genuinely appeared to be trying to avoid a wreck and believed the punishment was excessive given the circumstances. Even on forums like Reddit, fans who admitted they do not normally support Wallace debated whether he got a raw deal. Now come the numbers that actually matter. Bubba Wallace sits 13th in the regular season standings, 55 points above the playoff cut line. Without the penalty, that cushion would have been 82 points. He has finished outside the top 20 in 6 of the last 9 events, and only 6 regular season races remain before the playoffs begin. Wallace himself understands exactly what that means for everyone chasing him. Everyone behind us in points is like, "Oh, 23, Wallace said." They see that and are licking their chops. With the position that we are in, we're not safe. So the question every fan is asking now is simple. Did NASCAR get this call right, or was a 27-point penalty too severe for a move that Wallace insists never gained him anything? Drop your answer in the comments.